character animation track for spring 2025. Just in case you are wondering, there are a few different animation programs here at UCF. This is the character animation track. If you are interested in animation and visualization, that information session was on January 17th. They're also a phenomenal program, but if you're looking for information about the animation and visualization track, you are probably going to want to watch that recording. And hey, you know what? Watch both. It's great to see what your options are when you're pursuing a career in animation and the arts. So, a little bit about our program here. If you have not already seen our information online, the Character Animation Track is a 2-year, full-time prescribed series of courses designed to prepare a cohort of students for careers such as animators, story artists, visual development artists, lighting artists, technical artists, controls keep coming up, 3D modeling artists, rigging artists, texture artists, and many other careers in the animation industry and just the visual arts industry as a whole. And we do this by emulating a professional production studio, which is really, really a cool and unique process. We're going to talk more about that later today. Students learn all aspects of the production process from story creation to film completion while working as part of a team. That is a huge part of our program, and it's a unique facet we have in the character animation track. You'll be working alongside a small cohort of no more than 30 students on a short film with a 2-year production cycle. So it is really, really tight-knit and really collaborative. Students learn the tools and industry practices for computer-generated animated filmmaking, as well as the ins and outs of teamwork with the opportunities for leadership amongst their peers. And of course, you receive mentorship from our wonderful faculty. Again, I really do want to speak to just how collaborative this program is, and it is a great experience. I'm speaking both from personal experience as an alumni and as well as an instructor for this program. That is the most unique element. You have a lot of responsibility and personal accountability as you make these projects, and it manifests itself as, again, opportunities for leadership and the ability to take a fun, creative idea and develop it with so many wonderful creative minds in something far grander than you'd be able to accomplish on your own. So again, that's one of the greatest draws for character animation. But speaking on mentorship from our wonderful faculty, our faculty include Demetrius Dukes, myself, Christina Christie, Professor KJ Matheson, Joanne Adams, and Dr. Stella Sung. Dr. Stella Sung is from the music department and has helped us get wonderful scores for our films. And hey, if you haven't seen our films, they're pretty neat. The music in particular, very, very crisp. And Dr. Sung really does help us make those connections so we can bring our film to the next level. Our faculty has a very diverse background in filmmaking, education, CG arts, and I believe today, I think that, and I can't see the participants, but I believe that Joanne has joined us today. Joanne, do you want to talk a little bit about your personal experience in the industry and your just experience as an educator?
Okay, I'm just trying to work this camera now. Let's see. I started in 2008 with Walt Disney Feature Animation as an ink and paint artist back in the day when we actually used paintbrushes and hand inked cells and things like that. So I was there for 15 years. And during the 15 years that I was there, the animation industry changed greatly technologically. And also in reach because we're I guess considered the second golden age, and it went from a lot of handwork to including digital assets to assist in the production process. And then when I was on Mulan, we moved into Maya, or I learned Maya. But yeah, there was an introduction to computer arts as far back as Beauty and the Beast. So the reason for the dissolution of studio was because Disney was deciding to go full 3D. And, you know, that's why I chose that moment to go back to college and get my MFA so that I could teach. And I've been teaching here. Oh, isn't that funny? 2008. Did I say the wrong date? 1989 is when I started at Disney. Did I say that right? I don't even remember. Anyway, my patois, my patter. At any rate, yeah, so I've been teaching here in the character animation program, and then I think it was like 8 years ago, we started the MFA, Animation and Visual Effects degree. We've had several of our students progress from the BFA to the MFA, and then also several of our graduates are now teaching on graduate level and undergrad level in other universities around the country. We have people in industry working as storyboard artists, production managers, and things like that. So there you go.
Wonderful. Yes, and am I correct in saying that Professor Dukes and Matheson have not joined? I know they have it in the meeting right now, but they have not joined us. I cannot see.
I don't see them either.
Okay. Well, I hope that you all do get the opportunity to meet them. They are phenomenal faculty members here with us at UCF. Again, very robust backgrounds in the industry and in education. I know that Professor Dukes has a background in fine arts, and his approach to art in general provides for a lot more experimentation and just personal expression. Professor Matheson has got a great background in production, which really brings a level of organization and I would say crispness to the way we conduct our productions. For speaking for myself, I am a newer addition to UCF, but I'm not a stranger to the university. I was an alumni of the Character Animation program and continue to pursue my master's degree here. I have created a few independent films. I'm currently working on my third. I've done freelance production management and freelance tech art. I really do love problem solving. So if someone gives me a strange problem, if the software stops working funny, or they want to make a strange creature do funny, strange action, I am always there to help. So yeah, again, we have just a really phenomenal faculty here at the Character Animation program. All right. Regarding our students, right? Joanne mentioned this briefly, but our alumni have gone on to pursue successful careers and internships at studios, including, but not limited to, Treyarch, which produces Call of Duty, Electronic Arts, Disney Live Entertainment, DreamWorks, Disney, Lockheed Martin, Adult Swim, Disney Television Animation, NASA, Nickelodeon, Leica. They're everywhere. I think one of the biggest benefits that you'll see to joining a program like this is that our alumni network is pretty darn massive, and we've got a lot of connections in a lot of places. So if you've got questions about a specific studio, or you want to get connected with people in industry, we have a lot of people who can help you take that first step towards career success. Additionally, our program offers some unique courses. I am so sorry. Close that off. Our program offers several unique courses, including courses that are dedicated to storyboarding and script development, classes regarding concept art and design for film, which are both really exciting. And hey, 24/7 lab access, which is really really fantastic. We have a building down at OTC with a lab for the seniors and juniors, and those labs are just for our students. Usually our students kind of have their own computer and their own setup, and they can utilize that for the duration of the semester without having to share those machines, for the most part, with any other students. The exception would be if the seniors need it to render or something like that. Additionally, the hardware in these labs is pretty cutting edge. If you'll be joining us this upcoming year, I believe our senior lab is getting re-outfitted and our junior lab just got re-outfitted. So the junior lab features ultra-wide HD monitors, pretty powerful Alienware PCs, and 16-inch HD Cintiqs, as well as industry standard software such as Maya, Nuke, Houdini. There's a lot of great software on there provided for you. Additionally, your place in our classes in this program is just reserved, so you don't really have to scramble during registration. You have a seat in your classes for junior and senior year, and that is guaranteed. You still have to sign up for them, but those places are guaranteed for you. All righty. Now, well, actually, I suppose this is the question that many of you have on your minds, right? The portfolio, right? It is coming up. It's opening quite soon, and there's a lot of information available about the portfolio on our website, which if you have not already familiarized yourself with the information, please scan the QR code on the screen here to get more information about it. There is a video walkthrough that explains how to format and collect your submission materials into a single PDF for submission. So please make sure you watch that video before sending us any questions, before asking any questions, because we do strive to make sure all the information you need is available to you online. It's about a 3-minute long video, and it should help prepare you for the actual submission process. The application window is going to open on Monday, January 27th at 9 a.m., and it will close on Thursday, February 6th at 5 p.m. The letter of recommendation needs to be the letter of recommendation can be submitted separately from the portfolio PDF, and I believe it can be submitted a little bit after, but in terms of the application deadlines, this is the window to submit. We do not accept late applications. You can see here, again, this is a QR code, or you can visit our website down below to get more information about the portfolio and see exactly when it is going to open. I believe this link will also take you to the FAQ, which is at the bottom of the page. The FAQ contains the prompts you will need to answer for the written portion of the application. So if you're wondering what kind of questions you'll be asked on the application, you can go view the FAQ on this page and get more insight into what you will be responding to. I really encourage you to familiarize yourselves with those questions and start formulating your responses before the window opens so you can have confidence in your submission when you apply. Alrighty. So this is really important. UCF is really trying to focus on making sure that you as students achieve your degree in a timely manner, because of course, it's a 4-year degree. We want to make sure that we see you succeed in that on that timeline. In alignment with this, the Emerging Media BFA program is working to more closely adhere to this goal by implementing a timely academic progress towards a degree policy. You can read more about it at the link in the QR code if you so desire. You can also look it up and read the details for yourself. But the goal is to make sure that you as a student make timely and consistent progress towards your graduation. Beginning in spring 2025, students are permitted to submit portfolios for multiple SVAD tracks within a single semester. But those who do not pass the portfolio review or decline acceptance into a track will not be eligible to reapply for that track or any other emerging media BFA tracks in a future semester. This means if you apply to character animation or animation and visual effects, and you are not selected for those tracks, you will not be able to reapply next year. However, you may submit a studio art portfolio in subsequent semesters. We strongly encourage students affected by this policy to meet with an academic success coach at casa@ucf.edu. These coaches will help students explore alternative academic pathways and identify opportunities that align with their interests and goals while maintaining a trajectory towards a timely graduation. Again, that is our goal. We want to make sure that you as a student are hitting that, a timely graduation. Students who are removed from the program will receive written notification, and those who believe extenuating circumstances impacted their performance may appeal to the SVAD Administrative Office within 10 business days of notification. So please keep an eye on your email after applying to make sure that if you are not selected for this track and you believe that extenuating circumstances did impact your application, you have a 10-day window to appeal. Appeals must include detailed documentation of circumstances such as medical emergencies before they are going to be considered. Before I continue, I do want to invite Yumi, do you have anything that you would like to add or any additional context for this particular policy before I continue?
No, thank you for asking.
All right. Appreciate it. Again, if you would like more information about this policy, you can scan the code here and read it for yourself, but this is how it is going to be impacting the portfolio process moving forward. So once again, just to be absolutely clear, if you apply for this semester and you are not selected, you will not be able to reapply. Additionally, I strongly encourage you to apply to both animation and visualization and character animation, because if you apply to character animation and you decide maybe the next year you want to apply to animation and visualization, you are not eligible. Because if you apply to one, you cannot, again, you cannot apply to either of those two tracks the subsequent year if you are not selected. If you want more information about the character animation program, there is, again, a lot of information available to you online. We have a flyer which discusses the catalog at a glance and the kinds of courses you'll be taking, the overall overview of the character animation program, and our specific UCF character animation catalog, which goes over in detail the courses you will be registering for if you are selected for the character animation program. Again, all of these are available through UCF's website. If you look up UCF character animation catalog or overview or flyer, you can find these online at your leisure. But if you'd like, I'm leave this on the screen for a moment. It will pop up again later. But again, I really do encourage you to familiarize yourself with these resources because they have a ton of useful information that'll help you decide how you want to navigate the remainder of your time here at UCF. Alrighty. So a few questions I just wanted to anticipate as we're going through this information session. We always get asked, what kind of work do you want to see in the portfolio? And in general, we really want to see students who have a strong grasp of the fundamentals. This includes strong perspective, correct perspective, clear line of action, especially in gestural drawings, clear distribution of weight that goes along with having a strong line of action, an understanding of value and tone, understanding of shape and form, clear line, and high craftsmanship. This means work is complete and shows a level of polish. Work completed in your prerequisite courses, such as Drawing 1, 2, 2D, and 3D design, often clearly demonstrate these skills, and so we oftentimes see students include work from these courses in their portfolio. But you are more than welcome to submit personal work or work completed outside of class as long as it clearly demonstrates a grasp of those fundamentals. We do not want to see any fan art. And here, fan art is defined as artwork of a character or place from a pre-existing IP that originally existed as an illustrated, animated, or visual work. Recently, a student did ask if a piece contained, a religious figure. Was that going to be a problem? And it really does come down to if you're trying to emulate a style or a visual look that someone else developed, then that is not showing your own personal artistic eye or your personal aesthetic sensibilities. So please do not submit fan art. This includes even IP or character designs that you're showing in a different style or your personal style. Anything that existed originally in some visual form that had gone through someone else's design process is not something we want to see in your portfolio. Additionally, AI-generated imagery, this includes imagery that is either partially or holistically generated with AI tools, is not going to be considered. And trust me, we can tell, all right? So please do not use AI-generated imagery in your portfolio submission. It really makes it difficult for us to judge your personal understanding of the fundamentals, and so it is not permissible. If you want more information on what to submit and what not to submit for your portfolio, I do encourage you once again to look at our website at ka.ucf.edu/SVAD/character animation portfolio. You can see that at the bottom right. Okay. All types of various media is acceptable for the submission. For life drawing, traditional charcoal drawing is great, quick gestural drawings, complete drawings that took several hours, still lives, etc. Digital life drawing is also permissible, but do be careful. Your drawing instructors have likely told you this, but it's actually kind of visible to see if you were looking at a photo for life drawing versus if you were in the studio looking at a real model. So I really do encourage that traditional drawing, at least maybe one piece, but if you have digital life drawing, that is also permissible. 2D and 3D, that can be collage, sculpture, paper, clay, found materials, photography also counts. A lot of different types of media, as long as you're showing us that you understand tone, composition, color, all of those different facets of the submission. For your time-based media, we get a lot of questions about this. 2D or 3D animation is totally acceptable, but live action footage that you've edited together is also acceptable. A storyboard animatic would also be permissible here. Essentially, this is going to show that you have an understanding of the fundamentals of editing, not consistency, continuity, things like that. It gives us a glance into how you see visual media in the temporal sense. Additionally, if you're looking for portfolio feedback, faculty generally are not able to review portfolios before the portfolio submission, especially in spring because of the high number of applicants. But if you have questions about the application process, you're welcome to email your questions to svadcainfo@ucf.edu. I also encourage you to reach out to current juniors or current seniors and ask them what their experience was applying to the program. Now, they oftentimes won't be able to give you specific feedback on the pieces, but it can definitely be a great resource to help instill confidence in you regarding your submission. Additionally, the video walkthrough does include a few pieces of art that were included in a successful portfolio submission. So we don't oftentimes give out full examples because we don't want students to emulate another student's portfolio. But again, there's a lot of resources out there for you if you have questions, including our email and our current students and alumni. All right. A few common mistakes that are made in the application process include the creative story. I really implore you when you're working on this application to read the instructions carefully. It is an area that we actually do great on if we believe that you have clearly read and understood and followed the instructions in the portfolio process. So please make sure you do so. The creative story must be 300 words or less, and we do count. One character in the story must be an anthropomorphic object. This means it is a non-human object imbued with human-like characteristics, allowing it to act and experience a situation as a character with a personality would. This means something like a microphone or a broom comes to life and faces a challenge. You can have up to 2 characters in your short story and only 1 environment. Now, this can be fairly difficult for some, but please do make sure you adhere to these rules. If you only have one character in your short story, it must be the anthropomorphic object. So you can see here, and again, this entire section is available to you in the FAQ of our character animation website. So you can read this prompt at a later date if you'd like. And again, 300 words, no more than 2 characters, and 1 environment that follows the following format. A character or characters in a situation with a problem or goal, who makes 2 or 3 attempts to solve the problem or achieve the goal, but does not succeed and usually makes the problem worse. A final attempt occurs at the climax of the story, and the main character or characters either succeed by either achieving the goal, solving the problem, or absolutely failing. At the end, you have the affirmation. This is the result of the final attempt, and it's confirmed as final. This is a pretty standard story structure, and doing it in 300 words is tricky, but it's certainly possible. So please, again, make sure you read this carefully. This is one of the biggest and most common mistakes applicants make on that portfolio submission. Additionally, please encourage your recommender to clearly state who the letter is for and their relationship to the applicant. We have had recommendation letters in the past that simply vaguely allude to some student and have no mention of how the individual recommending knows the student who is applying. This leaves us uncertain in terms of how that relationship, if it was a professional relationship, if it was more unprofessional, we're not sure. So please make sure you let your recommender know to clearly state who the letter is for and clarify their relationship to you, the applicant. You can see here, you can upload the letter no later than February 8th at 11:59 p.m., which is 2 days, I believe, after the actual portfolio deadline. The portfolio PDF and the letter of recommendation are separate documents and can be submitted at different times. However, when you have submitted the portfolio, you cannot unsubmit it or resubmit it. So when you send the portfolio, that is final, but you can submit the letter of recommendation afterwards or before, if you so desire. Okay. And you can see right here, if you do not have your letter by February 8th, 2024, you can email a letter to our info website no later than Monday, February 12th. So there is a window, if your recommender is a little bit late, you have a few more days after that to submit that. You can see recommendation letters will not be accepted after Monday, February 12th at 5 p.m. So if you get this in after 5 p.m., we will not be considering it. All right. Whew, that was a lot of information, but we're going to go ahead and open the floor to any questions you may have. If we are unable to answer your question today during our Q&A portion, then you're more than welcome to submit your questions to svadcainfo@ucf.edu or casa@ucf.edu. So yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and
Perfect.
see what this, yeah.
Thank you for that lovely presentation. Let's go ahead and start with the first question. Can you submit multiple letters of recommendation?
So the actual application requires a single letter of recommendation, and we do not accept multiple letters.
Okay. Thank you. Next question is, so if you apply for 1 degree this year, you will not be able to apply for either for any other year ever?
That is correct. And I say any other degree, let's be specific. That's going to be the emerging media character animation track and the emerging media animation and visualization track. If you apply to either or both, you cannot apply again in future years.
Thank you for clarifying. And for my 2D class, I had to do a value study and choose to do one of a live action Marvel character. Would that be okay to include in this portfolio as a value study, or would that be not considered?
So it would be considered as a value study. That is a study from live action. I know that the idea is like, well, it's from a film, so is it not fan art? You have taken what was a live action subject and then translated it using an artistic method. So it is entirely permissible. Essentially, anything you've done in class for your prerequisites would be permissible.
Thank you.
Hey, Christina.
Yes.
I actually did provide an answer in that note. I'm just thinking in terms of any kind of misconstruing
Sure.
of the source of the material. If you have another just as qualified example, I would go
the lab schedule
binder. You know,
Mhm.
but if not, just make sure you have the description section in the portfolio submission where you talk about where the artwork comes from, if it's an assignment, comes from as in what course. We understand that, and when we read that, we we take that into consideration in our judgment of
Mhm.
the art. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that making sure it's very clear that it is from a live action piece, as Joanne just mentioned, is the name of the game there. We want to make sure, you know, if it's from like let's go ahead and say the film Get Out, right? We want to make sure you say a study of, you know, of Get Out by this director, because the composition and lighting was done by someone else technically, and you are using it as part of a study, which again is permissible. As Professor Adams just mentioned, if there's another piece that's comparable, then you might want to submit that as an alternative, but it's permissible in terms of the application as long as you make it clear where the source material comes from.
Perfect. Thank you so much for clarifying. The next question that we have is just to clarify, if it is solely drawn by you, but it is a loose description of a friend's character, would that not be fan art due to you being the one going through the design process?
Okay, so when we talk about fan art, again, this is a question that comes up often. The idea of IP, we're talking about like intellectual property that is licensed and out there. If you were drawing a design made by a friend of yours, you may want to credit them, especially if they're another artist who may be applying. But when we're talking about fan art, it's more so commercial properties that have an established style, things like that. If it's something that you and a friend have developed personally, it's not a licensed or merchandised or widely known IP, then that does show your personal aesthetic sensibilities, as long as, again, you credit who designed it and or were also kind of collaborative in that process.
Do you want to give them an
Yeah.
example of what we do consider fan art?
Sure. Do you have one in mind, Joanne?
Oh, I'm thinking about my favorite drawing of Mickey Mouse.
Ah, yes.
I mean,
So
that's an obvious fan art. Or what do we see? A lot of, whatever's the most popular thing going on right now in media.
yeah, I mean, Arcane, Genshin Impact, uh, any kind of anime. We're genuinely not, you know, so against anime, but when you're trying to emulate someone else's style, it doesn't show us how you utilize the elements and principles to express yourself. So, like again, Mickey Mouse, that's an IP, but the problem with that IP is that it is someone else's understanding of a caricature of a mouse, you know? So, yeah, just kind of avoid fan art in that way.
Perfect. Thank you for the clarification.
Mhm.
Next question we have is, does the log line count toward the 300 word count?
That is an excellent question. Where is it? The log line does not count towards the 300 words.
Next question is, does the letter of recommendation have to be from UCF?
It does not. Though many of the students who apply do choose to get letters of recommendation from an instructor from UCF, any professional or previous academic contact would be acceptable. We just don't want to see letters of recommendation from family or friends, because that doesn't really attest to your ability to work in a professional or academic environment.
Perfect. And then with the letter of recommendation, are we uploading the letter and the recommender is giving us to the file upload?
So the recommender should provide you with the file that you will then submit to the application portal.
Thank you. And then will there be a confirmation that the portfolio is in our system?
I believe that when the portfolio is submitted, you do receive a confirmation email. And if you're unsure, then you can always email SVAD CA info, and we will check for you. We've had times in the past where someone wasn't sure because there was that email, email switched over. And give it a day or three to make sure, but I believe you do get a confirmation email.
Thank you. And then if we submit pieces from a 2D design fundamentals class, should we include the business card we had to attach to the project in the photo?
Generally speaking, we really are concerned more with the piece, not with the business card. If you design the business card and wanted to submit that as a design piece, you could, but it's not required.
Perfect. And this one we have a bit of a paragraph here, so bear with me. I am the father of someone that is in the class at the moment and could not attend this presentation, though her heart is in the program.
Mhm.
She has obtained her associates in arts from Miami-Dade College as a dual enrollment high school student. She wasn't aware of this program at the time, so she didn't prepare herself well at the time and applied to the character animation program last year as a freshman. She also applied to the animation track last year and was accepted, but would rather be in this program. She has completed the first year of the other program, though. Is she able to apply to the character animation program now?
So that is going to be a situation where I would strongly suggest that that candidate go speak to the academic success coaches, because with the implementation of this policy and the unique situation regarding that student's academic history, they would be best equipped to handle that individual situation. I don't know, Yumi, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yes, please contact your academic success coach, CAHSA@ucf.edu.
Yeah, they should be able to help and answer the questions regarding that specific situation.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Next question. I am making a 3D model of a game console for my Design 2 class. Would that be okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. I saw in an accepted portfolio that they submitted 2 time-based media, and one was a 1 minute and 40-second long, exceeding the 1 minute time limit. Can we actually do that within the 2 minute time frame?
Submitting more than one piece of time-based media is not accepted. If they submitted 2, it's possible that we only looked at the one that was within the time frame. I mean, you technically, as someone with free will, could submit something over the time limit, but it will certainly be counted against you as you did not read the instructions clearly or follow them.
Perfect. And then just to, these questions keep reappearing. That's so weird. Let's see. My letter of recommendation has some minor typos from the professor. If the professor can't edit those typos before the deadline, should we submit it anyways?
Yes, we would understand that that is not a reflection of you. If you can get those typos adjusted before the submission, that's phenomenal. But if not, it's not going to be too detrimental.
And the next question, is an object like a scarecrow or a doll that can look human-like be appropriate for an anthropomorphic object?
That is a really good question. And it touches on a subject that I know maybe Joanne can speak on this as well. There is a reason we ask for the character to be anthropomorphic. And it's specifically because sometimes the type of anthropomorphic character can actually heighten your story and the theme. I want you to think about Pixar's Ratatouille, for example. Remy doesn't necessarily have to be a rat, right? And he's an animal, not an object. But because Remy is a rat, the level of repulsion, or rather of wrongness we feel about a rat being in a kitchen is heightened because Remy is a rat. When you're talking about a character like a scarecrow or a doll, ask yourself, does the character being this particular type of object really enhance the story? Or did I just take a human character and make them into a different creature with arms, legs, hands, and a face? For example, a scarecrow could be something, I'm going to say this, do not emulate it for your submission, but if a scarecrow is afraid of being caught on fire, that by the nature of being a scarecrow, that does heighten the drama, because it's more dangerous for a scarecrow that is made of dry hay to be near flame than it would be for someone who could, oh, ouch, I burned my finger. So you absolutely can do that, but ask yourself if it is heightening the drama or the tension of the story. Do you have any thoughts on that, Joanne?
Well, I mean, look up the definition of anthropomorphic. You're talking about an inanimate object that would not normally be thought of is humanoid. So I think you're stretching. And so, and we think about that when we look at people's portfolios.
Yeah.
We absolutely do. We're like, they're trying to skate around what we asked for.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if it's a great story, it's a great story, but there'll always be that like, well, they really didn't want to do anthropomorphic, so they figured a way to go around it,
Mm-hmm.
And that's
not
what we want to see.
Yeah. I would say that a good like 40 to 50% of the stories we get have that challenge where it is a doll or something human-like that is just taking the place of a human. So we really do encourage you to, and that's not to say it would disqualify you, but like as Professor Adams just mentioned, we noticed that it doesn't quite hit the mark. So
I think a great example of anthropomorphic, if you look up Pixar's short, was it Red's
Lou?
The one with the tricycle, not the tricycle, the unicycle that gets left behind in the toy store, and he's
Oh, yes.
sad, and um, what is that one called?
It's one of the older ones, right?
Yeah, it's very old. There's also, the little toaster.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
there are a lot of really great examples of anthropomorphic characters that have great pathos. And really, um, that's what we're looking for, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's also just to put in perspective the anthropomorphism, like in the Little Toaster, or and I think the short Lou, which is the Lost and Found that comes to life.
Hmm.
That's anthropomorphism. Toy Story technically is an inanimate object that comes to life, but they are still very humanoid, you know?
Right.
So I guess don't conflate those two energies. Living pile of lost and found items versus humanoid cowboy, it's different challenge. So okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And let's see, our next question is there a way that I can contact you or someone for feedback on my portfolio?
So generally, because of the volume of portfolio submissions, faculty are not always able to look at portfolio before submission. However, you can always contact our current students and alumni if you want a little bit of extra information, or if you've got questions about if a specific piece would be permissible, you can email svatinfo@ucf.edu. Again, you're not going to receive any judgment regarding the quality of the work. It's more so is it permissible? It's questions about, is this fan art? Is this going to be, does this meet the credentials, right? And that's not to say that every faculty will be unable to review. I know it depends on, person to person, but by and large, we do not make a habit of reviewing work before submission.
It really is a whether or not we have time, and
Yeah.
the 27th is Monday.
Yeah. In the future, if you're joining us for this information session and your plan is to apply next spring, like the spring of 2026, then we may be able to look at your work in fall. But so close to the actual application deadline, we are really pressed for time, and it's unlikely we'll be able to make that we'll be able to afford that time.
Perfect. The next question that we have, so if we have a piece inspired by a specific style, like a self-portrait, would that not be accepted?
It would be acceptable. Yes. Again, the fan art, it's the specific IP, the character, the icon. If you're trying to emulate a specific aesthetic style from, let's go ahead and say pop art, right? That shows that you're understanding the elements and principles of that design language and applying it to a subject, in this case yourself, that is new. It's a synthesis of style and personal intent. We just don't want to see you take Mickey Mouse, who is already a caricature, and match that style, because the design is not yours, the intent is not yours, and the stylization is not yours.
Thank you. And then next question we have, keeping this in mind about fan art, last semester I completely redrew and rendered frames from Brother Bear as if the shading was completely done to show value. I wasn't sure if this would fall in line with the same idea as doing a value study as a live action film, such as Get Out, like you said, or if it was emulating the style since it was 2D, it was completely hand redrawn. Is
Ooh,
this
that's a
allowed?
tough one. Joanne?
Personally, I say don't use it. And
Yeah.
very simply because it's the fact that it's already drawn. And I get that you're adding shading, but that's all you're adding to it. And we don't want to just see that. We want to see your design sense, your thinking, and it's too close to reuse of an already designed thing. It's like, you know,
I mean, we even talked about that. This is a small sideline, but you worked
Yeah.
on the camera work for Lion King, correct?
hmm
Yeah, and how the new Lion King live action just used the camera work again. It's the same camera. It's just in CG now,
And
and it's
nobody
like,
got
huh?
paid again.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that what Joanne just said is very accurate. If there's something out there that you've really had more hands-on time with, it's more representative of your work, then we'd really prefer to see that.
Perfect. For our next question, I am a tattoo artist. Am I allowed to submit any of my work?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. For sure. The only thing is, right? Here's hoping that as a tattoo artist, you are designing your own work. I know that, of course, clients sometimes come in and say, I want Pikachu from Pokemon on my arm. But if you have designs that you've personally drafted and then implemented, absolutely.
Thank you. And then I have two animations that are based on some storyboard sketches a friend did. Would I be able to link to the images of those storyboards to give context / show to what degree the animation was based on those storyboards?
You could for sure. I would say that in the application, just let us know who did it. And if you want to provide a link, do so we can actually take a look and see, because depending on how many frames were added and how heavily the storyboards were referenced, that would be a consideration. So yes.
Next question. For those of us who got an associates in arts and animation back in high school because they were dual enrolling, how do we implement that information into our portfolio?
If you're talking about the actual courses and the transcripts, that's going to be a question for student success. But if you're talking about coursework, I may need clarification on this question. You can absolutely implement coursework from previous classes, like that you maybe accomplished during your AA. You can absolutely submit that. Your portfolio submission does not need to only include work done in prerequisites completed at UCF by any means.
I actually meant for information-wise, is it beneficial for us to say, I have an associate's in this? Does that help bolster our portfolio?
If you'd like to mention in your cover letter that you are in possession of an AA degree, then or associate's degree, then you may, but we are going to weigh your work far more heavily than the specific accomplishments prior to enrollment here.
All right, thank you.
Of course.
And then next question. I have plenty of observational drawing, but most are figure and portrait studies. How much will not having many interior / perspective observational works affect my score?
There's no way of necessarily telling to what degree it would impact the score of your portfolio. However, this is actually a really great question. You don't need to be a master of everything to gain admittance into our program. For example, when I applied, I didn't have anything in digital 3D. I didn't have much 3D work at all. I was much more of a 2D artist. And I was still able to pursue this as my final degree. If you don't have a lot of perspective work and your gestural drawing and your portrait work and your life drawing is absolutely stellar, then it won't impact you much at all. We'd love to see some perspective because we would, if there's no perspective present, then we might wonder, is this a skill that exists? But by and large, all of our faculty can still identify your understanding of perspective, even from a life drawing, because there's perspective in the body, there's perspective in those forms. So really just focus on showing your strengths. And I would say don't include a breadth of work if that breadth is not going to help you.
Perfect. And then if we submit a storyboard sequence as a time media-based piece, do we need to submit the panels as one of our art pieces also, or is it all considered all one art piece?
So the storyboard would be considered one art piece, and it should be you can either do it as separately. You could put storyboards as a 2D, 3D piece or as the time-based media piece. The thing with storyboards as time-based media, we'd want to see them edited together in an animatic to show some rhythm, to show some editing. But you wouldn't submit them twice.
Next question we have. On the website for time-based media, it was stated that only a media player link would be allowed and not a YouTube link. Is this information still accurate?
A media player link. Media player, to my knowledge, is not a video hosting site. I believe that Vimeo, YouTube, anything that plays media is acceptable. So I think media player link is referring to Vimeo, YouTube, etc. Anywhere you can host a video.
Gotcha. And then for the time-based media, would it be okay to do a comparison of a 3D and 2D animation of the same character?
As long as the material submitted in terms of animation is all yours, then you can absolutely submit a 2D and 3D. That'd be a pretty cool demonstration of your skills across two different types of animation.
And then next question, how many people usually apply and how many people are accepted?
Great question. So depending on the year, we have a different volume of applicants. Some years are as high as 150 to 160. I don't know. Joanne, do you know what the highest number you've seen is?
I usually think around the 130, but usually,
Yeah.
I mean, some years, look, I'm thinking 16 years of my experience. So, I
Yeah.
mean, there were years where it was like 100, 130. Um, yeah, 160 would be very rare. And I think by the time they all get vetted, we never saw 160. We would see about 100,
Hmm.
and like they're vetted for, prerequisites and,
Right.
all that good stuff. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think 130 is about the average, and that's after, again, if you apply and you don't have all your prerequisites, that's the problem, and you actually kind of get struck from the list immediately. So please make sure you meet with academic success to ensure you're on track to apply.
Yeah.
But we usually see about 130, and of that 130, we accept 30, but we usually, and I know we're going to be waitlisting a little bit more than we usually do, but we usually waitlist 10. So we have the 30 that we have selected, and then pending their acceptance, we then begin to move through the wait list. And if we make our way through the wait list, then that is our class. So for example, last year we had slightly more people decline and the wait list actually went through. So we ended up with a cohort of 27, I believe. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then if I have a character study page that actually has to do with the time-based media I came up with, would that be accepted since it's all on one page, or would each drawing count as its separate thing? It consists of concepts of scenes shown in my animation and the general shape, work, and design of the characters.
I would say if that was all in pursuit of like one piece, you could include it as like a character sheet or a reference sheet in your 2D, 3D section.
Thank you. And then how long would you recommend we make the time-based media? Is it more likely to be favored if it's closer to the 1 minute time constraint?
It does not matter. I mean, the only note I have on that is please don't submit like 4 frames. That's less than a second of content. It will not help or hinder you if you are under the 1 minute mark. It will hinder you if you are over the 1 minute mark. And the thing we really want to see is that you're just demonstrating skills that only exist in time-based media, like editing, like tempo, like well, I want to say rhythm. Rhythm exists in design as well, but that you're making use of the time you have and utilizing it to some effect.
Okay. And then is concept art of your own character with design process on the same page acceptable?
Yes, absolutely. I will say, just going to put a little caveat on that. If you're going for character design, really make sure that is a strong piece. Okay. A lot of people are really passionate about character design, but remember, if a piece is not as strong as your strongest work, then it is bringing your portfolio down. So if you are going to submit character design, I would not submit more than one. And I just make sure it is a very strong piece.
Thank you. And then if we have a story where the anthropomorphic character is the obstacle in the story, for example, like a girl trying to get a robot dog to work, does that fit the requirement?
On technicality, yes.
What do you mean by that, Christina?
Robot dog could be a real dog, right? In terms of anthropomorphic animals,
Not really.
yeah. I guess it was cruel of me to say on technicality and not elaborate. It's if it is a robot dog and it could be a real dog again, we could be more anthropomorphic than that, you know? Think about other things
Inanimate
that
object.
yes, inanimate objects. Even though a robot without power is an inanimate object, it's not as inanimate as like, you know, a screwdriver or an old storage box. So but yeah, the obstacle
phone, anything.
yeah, anything.
Objects in your life.
Reach your hand out and you'll find one. But yeah, so if it's the obstacle, that's absolutely okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then for the time-based media, is an animation reel okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
I am building a 3D environment based on a place that exists in real life. Would that be acceptable?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, perfect. I just saw you answer that, Joanne. My apologies. And then, hello, you mentioned for this the value question, but we did an assignment in 2D design for shape/texture using pre-existing pixel art drawings to create our piece. One
Mhm.
of the pixel choices I made was to have Mario, so I don't know if that is acceptable or not.
This goes back to the same mention we said about live action film. It's part of a course and it was meant to enhance your skills. If you have another comparable piece that utilizes the same method, you might want to consider submitting that instead. Otherwise, though, if it is a really strong piece and you're very proud of it, just letting us know that it is Mario from whatever game, so we understand that you understand that you're borrowing from a pre-existing piece of media.
Thank you. And then as someone who has been mostly online so far since attending UCF, how would I go about contacting current students or alumni for tips with questions or comments? Is there somewhere to go for that, or is it more of a networking thing?
It's definitely networking. Honestly, if you send a message to SVAD CA info with the intent to like get connected with our students, they have communities online that they're active in. Or you could even try LinkedIn if you want to message them. They're out there. A lot of them are really eager to meet prospective applicants and they'd love to talk to you guys. So if you're not sure how to get in contact, you can always email SVAD CA info and we'll get you in contact with some current students. But otherwise, again, you can kind of find them in the wild online.
Thank you. And then as a tattoo artist, which category would my work fall into when submitting a portfolio? Would it be 2D design or something different since it is applied to someone's skin?
It's 2D design for sure. Because their categories include life drawing, 2D, 3D design, and observational, 2D, 3D design, and time-based media. So anything that's not observational is going to be in the 2D, 3D section.
And then I see Joanne answered this, but just to say this out loud. So for my time-based media, is it one video with 3 separate short animations in it? Is it better to submit this or to submit only one of those 3 short animations?
Joanne, would you like to read your answer out loud?
Okay, where's my, oh, wait, the one about the reel?
Correct. Yeah, Azalea Ortiz asked the question.
Yeah. Reels are perfect. You want to make sure that when you edit them together in, okay, this is my area of love, editing. So make sure you edit them together so they feel like they flow one to the next. I was just
Yeah.
answering this one and I'm jumping ahead of you, Felix. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, somebody was asking about, do I have to have original sound or can I add music? And I was writing, just make sure the music supports the imagery and tempo. Avoid music that dominates the experience.
Yes.
That issue would be like, not everybody loves heavy metal, and if you're showing us a beautiful, flower with a skunk sniffing it, please don't. What is the point? It doesn't support. It's one of the things we preach, which is music is supposed to support story.
Yeah. And I will say also sound effects can be a huge bonus. I
Yeah.
know that I've seen one, it was like a character that ran by the screen really fast and they Doppler effect, they created the Doppler effect with their own voice and it was like, whoa. And it added a little bit of humor to it,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you guys for elaborating on that. Next question, for the edited demo reel for the time-based media, can we overlay music to the reel or should I keep everything in the original sound or a mix of both, like add music to no sound clips?
Okay, so here's just a general piece of advice from doing this, applying anywhere. Most of the time, people are going to have the audio of your video turned off, and sometimes they don't, but it should be able to stand alone regardless. If you're going to add audio over, as Professor Adams just mentioned, you want to make sure it supports, not detracts from your piece. And just to be absolutely clear for those listening, it is not strictly a demo reel. It can be a multitude of things, as I mentioned earlier. It can be storyboards that are edited together in an animatic or live action editing. But if you do add audio, it's up to you. If you want to just kind of remove the Foley and have music, or if you want to keep the Foley, it's whatever you feel supports your work best and it enhances the feel of it.
You're showcasing what you can do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And hey, we might have the audio off, depending. I can't promise that all the faculty will have the audio on for every video.
Also, yeah, I just wanted to say, please don't run out and learn how to animate in 1 week.
Yes.
It's not going to help you. It's more important that we just see that editing rhythm and that sense.
Yeah, and again,
Yeah.
for context, for those of you who are like, man, I don't have animation skills yet. I didn't either. My submission for time-based media was a 1-minute filmed short. I got a camera and my friends together, and I'd written a little, no audio, no talking. And it was just a funny little script story about an elevator. And that was acceptable. You know, don't try and, you know, do these things and learn them in the next week just for the application, because it will be detrimental to you.
There's a really good question that is relative to this. Are animations shot from one perspective looked down upon, hurt our chances with the time-based media? Do you mean like the camera angle?
Yes, that is what I mean.
Yeah, no, I don't imagine it's the quality of the animation. You know? Yeah.
If you have really cool camera work, right? Like if you're someone who wants to mess with the camera and give us a really dynamic shot, that's definitely something, but we would in no way look down upon a piece with a static camera. Most shots in film are static. So, yeah.
Perfect. And then we do have about 4 more questions that I see here. So let's go through the next one. And for this one, I don't know if this is a statistic that we have or could provide. Roughly, how many applicants are rejected for missing prerequisites per year?
Oh, I don't think we can provide that statistic, but not very many.
Okay.
It's very uncommon, because usually, again, if you're meeting with your academic success coach regularly, that shouldn't be a concern.
Perfect. For the next one, if I were to make music, or let me repeat that. If I were to make myself the music for my own time-based media, a 2D animation, would that be counted as 2 time-based media or only 1 since it's in the same file?
It's one in the same file. I don't know what your vision is yet, but I'm eager to see when you say make yourself the music. That sounds fun. It'd be 1 piece though.
Are you beatboxing?
Acapella.
I'm gonna make myself. Now, if you author your own music, if you perform your own music, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, let us know also. Like if you make the music
Yeah.
for your submission, make sure you say in the bottom that you made the music somewhere, because we mentioned earlier, Dr. Sung isn't here, but music is a kind of huge part of what we do. Not us as faculty, but our media. It's pretty big. So let us know.
I would say ukulele, the short ukulele, that was actually written by one of the student directors, and she played the ukulele on that production. And they had a little duet at the end that they both 2 students sang. So yeah.
It sounded like a student was about to speak. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so I'm the one who asked the question. By like making music myself, like I used to do some like video game music for like one of my projects, but like I used like a website that like had like loops, and I edited the music, so I had fun with it, so I wanted to do it again, and I had a lot of like great feedback, so I wanted to mix the things.
Absolutely, you can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. We are down to our last 2 questions. For the
Fantastic.
second to last, can you elaborate on editing reels to flow together?
Oh boy. We have classes on that, but Joanne, take us away.
Yeah. What that means is say if you have a character who's walking along a path of action, yeah. If you progress to another reel, make sure that the next edit is like in time with it. In time
Yeah.
with it. And then what's something we call, and this is something like a term that you're going to learn infinitely over and over and over in our program, which is shot to shot continuum, which is like make sure that the place where the audience is looking is consistent. You know, those are ways that you do that. And then the other thing is just be on the beat. You know, if you add music, be on the beat. Boop, boop. Hey, KJ.
Yeah, hi, Professor KJ. We're so glad you could join us.
Oh. Hi, guys. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. You're in good hands. You're good hands with these 2.
But yeah, I think as Joanne was mentioning, the shot-to-shot continuity and the rhythm, right? Just if you can see my screen currently, if I am walking and I wave, or if I wave at someone else, and the next shot has the next piece is like over here in the bottom corner, right? that's not great. You want to try and make sure things kind of link up properly. And then, if you have a character walking, right, and there's music playing, what you don't want to see is this character going, and then we have this flow, and then we kind of go back and start again in the next piece. It kind of feels like to our brains. So don't worry too much about that right now, because it's something you're going to have a lot of opportunity to
teach you.
learn. But
Yeah,
just, if you're watching, you're like, this feels a little off, that might be why.
Think about your favorite movies.
Mhm.
Perfect. And then can I upload oh my God, sorry, I don't know what happened there. Can I upload an animatic / storyboard of something with existing audio or dialogue as long as I credit it, or would it have to be original?
That is okay. That's kind of what the 11-second club does, which is the animation competition that's monthly. As long as you credit it and you're trying to like bring something new to the audio, then for sure that shows a really cool creative spin on maybe a script that already exists, like things like that. Just make sure you credit.
All right, perfect. That would have been the last question. However, one person asked a question I feel that is important.
Mhm.
It's regarding the submission process. Is there somewhere that walks us through the actual submission process in the specific portal? And do we have to register in some way to submit, or is fulfilling the prerequisites and having everything all that must happen?
Okay, so I'm going to send a link here. This is our video that goes over how to submit. It does not go over the specific portal, but it does talk about what you can expect regarding gathering your materials in preparation for submission. For the prerequisites, to my knowledge, there is no need to register for the portfolio. You'll simply will submit it. And for the prerequisites, please go meet with your academic success coaches, because it's not a portal that's going to say, hey, wait, you're missing something. You would still be able to submit even if you're missing those prerequisites, because again, it's a separate portal. So before you submit, if you are not absolutely 100% sure, please make sure you meet with your success coach.
Thank you so much. And then let's make this our last one. For my reels, what I did was add a little title card. Let me repeat that. Jesus, Felix. For my reels, what I did was add a little title card fade to the title cards at the beginning / end of animation. Is this all right, or is it better to implement what you were saying about the reels?
Okay, so that's totally fine. I'm gonna say to all of you right now, don't get too caught up in those details, right? Because you're gonna have so much time to learn that. Really, as you're approaching this portfolio, what you need to do is say, okay, I have my work, put your best foot forward, look at your body of work, which, hey, it might not be too huge right now. You're kind of just embarking on this journey. Many of you are anyway. Find your best pieces, the things that your professor said, wow, that's pretty neat, right? Or things that you personally like, I think this is really, really cool. I'm really passionate about this, and put those things forward. We are in the arts field, and of course there are rules that make art more or less technically correct, right? But there's also a facet to art that is just about self-expression and experimentation and a dedication to craftsmanship, making it polished, right? For me personally, we of course want to make sure you can read the rules and understand those rules, but we care a lot more about seeing your passion, the craftsmanship, all of those things, and whether or not, how long the crossfade was for your title card. In our courses, we might get a little bit picky about it, but for right now, we just want to see what you can do. So please don't stress over the small things like that.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Christina. And that was our last question. We are done with the Q&A portion.
All right. Thank you all so much for joining us here today. I hope that you found this session informational. If you have any questions, or if anything comes up after this meeting, please do email info. I think it's info.ca. Let me double check. Yeah, sorry. SVAD.ca info@ucf.edu, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. We look forward to seeing your submissions, and thank you all again so much for your interest in the Emerging Media Character Animation Program. Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you. That was amazing. That was a wealth of information. I understand why my daughter wants this so badly. You guys, I learned so much from your passion. Have a wonderful day, and thank you very much.
You too. Have a wonderful
Say hi to
time.
Jasmine.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Everybody have a great weekend.